Imagine a tiny repair shop in post-war Tokyo, no bigger than a dusty back room where a handful of engineers soldered together discarded radio parts. Fast forward 78 years and that same company has sold over 100 million PlayStation consoles, reshaped the way we listen to music, and produced blockbuster movies. Today, you're about to discover how Sony survived near-death defeats, orchestrated world-changing breakthroughs, and continuously reinvented itself. If you're into cool stories about brands on the rise, go ahead and like this video and hit subscribe. There's plenty more coming your way. Let's jump in. September 1946, Tokyo lies in ruins. Amid the rubble, Masaru Ubuka sets up a modest electronics repair shop called Tokyo Tsushin Kogyo. With just 8 employees, Ubuka and his partner, Aikiyo Morita, scavenged discarded parts from Allied forces, valves, wires, metal casings, and built a simple tube radio. It wasn't pretty. The casing rattled, the wood finish was rough, and the tuning felt off. Yet, it worked and sparked hope that Japanese ingenuity could rival imported American goods. The first triumph laid the foundation for what would define Sony for decades. If you can imagine it, you can build it. In the early 1950s, transistors were the dawn of a new era. Small, efficient, and shockingly reliable. Masaru Ubuka took a bold risk, licensing the tech from Bell Labs despite high fees and zero experience with semiconductors. By 1955, Sony's first transistor radio was ready. It was expensive and sold just 1,000 units, but it proved one thing. Transistors worked, and they could shrink radios dramatically. Sony refined the design, and in 1957, the TR-63 hit Western markets. It was a hit. For the first time, people could carry music, news, and talk shows in their pockets. By the late 1950s, Tokyo Tsushin Kogyo's ambitions had outgrown its cumbersome name. The company officially became Sony Corporation in 1958. This rebranding wasn't cosmetic. It signaled a new vision. Sony would no longer be a modest repair shop, but a global innovator in electronics. With this fresh identity, Sony expanded into tape recorders, televisions, and cameras. In 1960, they unveiled the TV-8301, a direct-view portable television weighing just 3.5 kilograms, and priced at the equivalent of $5,000 today. Critics scoffed at its cost, but the device proved Sony's ability to push miniaturization to its limits. Soon, decorated foreign guests from embassies in Tokyo were searching out Tokyo's specialty electronics shops to get their hands on the Japanese miracle television. Sony's bold streak led to the launch of the Betamax in 1975, a home video format that boasted superior picture quality and reliability. Early adopters raved about the crisp images and Sony's sleek beta recorders. Some claimed it was the best consumer video system ever. Yet in the brutal format war against JVC's VHS, Betamax lost ground. VHS tapes held more video per cassette and were cheaper to manufacture, and major Hollywood studios licensed the format more readily. By 1988, VHS claimed over 75% of the global market. For Sony, the Betamax defeat stung, not just in lost sales but in bruised pride. But in true Sony fashion, this loss fueled new determination. Lessons learned about open licensing and consumer needs would later influence the approach to every subsequent format and platform. Sony's next gamble came in 1979 with the Walkman TPS-L2. Initially derided by executives as just a gimmick, it was a portable cassette player designed for two purposes: stereo headphones and freedom. The Walkman spawned an entire cultural phenomenon: people jogging in neon leg warmers, teenagers exchanging mixtapes, and tourists wandering streets with earphones. By 1985, Sony had sold over 20 million units, and by 1989, that number surpassed 50 million. More than a product, the Walkman became shorthand for personal empowerment through technology. In the early 1990s, Sony's empire spanned music after acquiring CBS Records, movies by buying Columbia Pictures, electronics, and even financial services in Japan. Yet corporate complexity bred sluggish decision-making. Sony's annual reports famously featured dozens of product categories, each vying for budgets and attention. The company was at risk of losing its core identity. Were they a technology pioneer, an entertainment powerhouse, or a sprawling conglomerate? Revenues climbed, but profit margins flattened. Shareholders clamored for clarity. Internally, engineers whispered that they were in danger of becoming a generalist instead of the focused visionary they once were. The need for a unifying mission grew urgent. Ironically, the breakthrough came from a setback. In 1991, Sony partnered with Nintendo to develop a CD-ROM add-on for the Super Nintendo. Engineers poured endless hours into a prototype, only to be blindsided when Nintendo ditched the project for another collaborator at the last minute. Rather than scrap the prototype, Sony executives decided to launch a wholly new gaming console. This decision was bold. The video game market was dominated by Nintendo and Sega, and Sony had zero experience in marketing consoles. Yet, under the leadership of Ken Kutaragi, a hardware genius nicknamed the father of PlayStation, Sony unveiled the PlayStation in December 1994 in Japan. Within days, 200,000 units sold. North American launch followed in September 1995 with similar success. Sony had not only entered gaming, they had redefined it with 3D graphics, CD-quality audio, and an open development ecosystem that attracted hundreds of game studios. March 2000 marked the debut of PlayStation 2. Far more than a game console, PS2 was a DVD player, a network device, and backward compatible with millions of original PlayStation CDs. Priced at $299, far below competing DVD players, it rapidly infiltrated living rooms worldwide. Titles like Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, and Final Fantasy X became cultural phenomena, driving hardware sales. By 2005, PS2 had sold over 100 million units, cementing its status as the best-selling console ever. Sony achieved a rare trifecta, dominating gaming, popularizing DVD technology, and creating a vast library of first-party franchises. For a company that once soldered rice cookers in a war-torn city, this was nothing short of seismic. If you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories about the brands shaping the future. In November 2006, Sony launched the PlayStation 3 with groundbreaking features, a Blu-ray drive, a multi-core cell processor, and wireless controllers. However, complex architecture, high $599 price tag, and mixed developer support led to sluggish sales. By 2008, Sony was writing off billions in losses. Confidence wavered. Then in early 2012, Kaz Hirai, a former head of Sony's music division, became CEO of the gaming division. He slashed manufacturing costs, standardized hardware configurations, and refocused marketing on gamers instead of tech-savvy buyers. He also bolstered the PlayStation Network, introduced free multiplayer trials, and locked down a pipeline of exclusive titles like Uncharted 3 and The Last of Us. By the time Hirai moved up to overall CEO later in 2012, PlayStation 3 had not just recovered, it became profitable, restoring Sony's reputation for gaming excellence. November 2013 saw the launch of PlayStation 4 at a competitive $399 price point. Sony had learned from the PS3 era. The console's architecture was developer-friendly, and hardware updates were streamlined. Hit exclusives like Bloodborne, Horizon Zero Dawn, and God of War showcased the console's graphical prowess and narrative depth. Meanwhile, Sony pivoted towards services. PlayStation Plus bundled free games and multiplayer access. PlayStation Now delivered cloud-streamed titles, and Music Unlimited evolved into integrated Spotify partnerships. This transition to games as a service mirrored the company's early licensing successes with transistor radios, only now in a digital ecosystem. The PlayStation 5 launched in November 2020 amid global supply chain challenges, yet still sold over 10 million units in its first year. Its ultra-fast SSD slashes load times, ray tracing transforms lighting, and DualSense haptics redefine immersion. But Sony isn't stopping at consoles. PlayStation VR2 announced in 2022 delivers unprecedented realism in virtual worlds. Major studio acquisitions, Insomniac Games, Housemarque, and Bungie strengthen Sony's first-party lineup. On the corporate side, Sony's entertainment arm thrives. Marvel movies, anime partnerships, and music streaming under Sony Music Entertainment amplify the brand's global reach. From the TR-63 transistor radio to the PS5's hyper-realistic gameplay, the thread is clear. Sony commits to breakthrough technology, even if it means risking billions. Think back, a tiny post-war shop repairing rice cookers, crafting radios from war supplies? Today, Sony entertains billions through movie theaters, concert halls, living rooms, and personal headsets. If history teaches us anything, it's that Sony's appetite for innovation remains insatiable, and its journey is far from over. Thanks for watching. This was just one chapter in a much bigger story. Like and subscribe to follow the rise of the brands rewriting the future.